Crossroads Community Church. We are so glad that you decided to check us out. You are invited to visit us in person at 9 or 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings. If you would like to partner with us in our mission to connect others with God, you can visit us on our website at www.crossroads.cc and click on the Online Giving tab. We hope you enjoy this sermon from our most recent service.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Crossroads. So glad you're here with us this morning. And just want to kind of go back to that video that was on at the very beginning of service, if you didn't catch it. The lady on that video's name is Jennifer. And our team that went to Nicaragua last year got to meet Jennifer and see who she was and get to know her family and her kids. And I got to see her home that they just showed. And I remember walking into her home. And she was just so proud of the place that she was living. And she said, she had all of these little baby clothes and stuff laying around that she was selling. So she would go to the market. This is how she made a living. She'd go to the market, she'd buy the baby clothes, and then she would kind of up the price a little bit on them so that she could make a living on it. Her husband had abandoned her, and it was just her and the kids. And so Crossroads went into her home and bought all the stuff that she had there, like all the clothes and everything that she had. And I remember walking out and saying, what are you going to do with that stocking cap, that baby stocking cap? And then people were like, I don't know. I just wanted to buy it. So we love Jennifer and we can't wait to go back and see her again. And so again, think about joining us this year on one of our trips. And we're going to be meeting, just kind of having lunch and talking about where we're going and how you might be able to be involved on the 28th this month, right after the 11 o'clock service. So hope that you'll come for that as well. Well, no snow today. No more holidays, at least for a little while. And so here we are. We're all here this morning and glad that you're here. 9 o'clock was a good crowd at 9 o'clock too. And so we're so excited about this. We're in a series called I Choose. And what I love about this series and what I love about this time of year is we really have an opportunity right now to make decisions that will impact the rest of this year for us. We can make decisions right now. It's like a fresh start. It's brand new, beginning of January, and you can make decisions right now that can really set forward a greater year for you, maybe the best year you've ever had this year. Did you know that we make 35,000 decisions in a day? 35,000 decisions in a day. And some of them are just kind of because we're consumers. And so, one of your decisions might be, which of the thousands of channels am I going to watch today? Okay, so you pick a channel to watch. Or how do I like my coffee? Am I going to get coffee? Am I going to make it at home? Or am I going to pick up one on the way? And what kind of coffee? And what do I want in it? You're going to decide what you want to eat tonight. Say, hey, we're going to cook something in, or we're going to go out and get something, or we're going to continue to be like the valued customer of Taco Bell, or we're going to cook something in today. And then you've got all these multitude of other decisions that you make every day, like, do I hit the snooze button? And do I hit it again? Some of you are saying yes. Do I hit it a third time? How many of you set multiple alarms on your phone? Yeah, there's a bunch of you, because you're going to miss the first one. There are other decisions that you make, like, am I going to exercise today? And if so, what am I going to do? And then for how long am I going to exercise? What's for breakfast? What am I going to wear today? How am I going to react to the person that cuts me off in traffic this morning? Who will I spend time with today? Big decision. Who am I going to spend time with today? What's for lunch today? Anyone thinking about that right now? What's for lunch today? Then what's for snack after you eat lunch? And then what's for dinner tonight? And then what's for snack after you eat dinner? And then what's for snack before you go to bed? Like, you're going to make these decisions every day. And then there's this whole other level of decisions that we make that really, kind of set the direction of our life, or can turn or pivot the direction of our life. For example, who am I going to date? Or who am I going to marry? What kind of career am I going to pursue? Am I going to go back to school? Who will I vote for? Keep it to yourself. I don't want to know. Who am I going to vote for? Who am I going to spend time with? Who are my kids going to spend time with? These are kinds of decisions that we make that are huge decisions. And I would say essentially we are kind of the sum total of all the decisions that we've made. You are who you are because of the decisions that you've made in the past. Or think about this, like who you'll be in the future will be based on some of the decisions that you make right now. And so it's important for us to make the right decision. And there's not ever hardly a single week that goes by that somebody doesn't come to me after service and kind of share this huge critical kind of time-sensitive decision that they have to make, and they're seeking out some counsel on it. Not that I ever give good counsel on that, because a lot of times I'm like, okay. Because it's not ever really an easy answer. It's like these critical moments that has to be answered quickly. It's, maybe job-related or marriage-related or family-related, or should I move or not move? Or in fact, I'd say we find ourselves in these critical decisions, don't we? Do you find yourself in these critical decisions? If you don't, you need to get off the couch, okay? Because if you're living life, you're going to run into these kinds of decisions. And we want to make the right choice, don't we? We want to make the right decision. I don't think there's anybody in this room that would say, my goal really was to make the worst decision and screw this whole thing up. That was what I wanted to do. Nobody's going to say that. We want to make the right decision. We want to make the wise decision. We want to make the correct decision. And so if you've ever been in a place, or you're in a place right now where you're trying to make a decision, then you're in the right spot. Because we're walking through this series, I Choose, and really setting up right now at the beginning of this year, decisions that will carry on for the rest of this year and maybe the rest of our life that will help us in our life, maybe to make this the best year we've ever had. Okay, so we've been talking about some of those decisions. Today's decision is this. We want to choose the important over the urgent. Doesn't that sound right? We want to choose the important over the urgent. So let me ask you this question just to get started. Please participate, because you need to wake up. You need to wake up. Participate with me. Everybody participate. If you don't, you're no fun. We don't like you. So it's just raising your hand, okay? That's all, okay? How many of you would say honestly that sometimes you wish there was more time to do something very important to you? You just wish there was more time to do something important to you. Yeah. So, okay, everybody in the room says that, okay? Everybody in the room says, sometimes I wish there was more time for me to do something that's really important to me. But if you're like most people, you say, it's important to me, but I just don't have time to do it because I've got to, cut the grass. I've got to do the chores. I've got to get that work project done. We've got to get all the chores done in the house. We've got to get dinner together. We've got to get our homework finished. We've got to get our kids over here and back over here. And I got to get my Instagram photo filter right and the caption right. This is important stuff. And so we kind of get into this thing where we run out of time. Or we say, how many times do you run into people and say, how are you doing? What's the first thing they say back to you? Busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. In fact, I caught myself doing that this week after preparing this message. It's like someone called me and said, hey man, how you been doing? Busy. Busy. We're busy. I'm busy. You're busy. We're all busy. It's the first thing that we say is that we're busy, 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 busy all the time. I've never asked somebody, how are you doing? And they've said to me, actually, I got nothing to do. I have absolutely nothing to do. I'm just chilling out. In fact, I was kind of hoping you had something for me to do. You got anything you want me to do? No, but that never happens. It's always busy, 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 busy. And so we want to make a decision today to choose the important over the urgent. And somebody might say, but aren't the urgent things important? Anybody thinking that? Aren't urgent things important? Well, yes, sometimes, but not always. And I would say if we choose the important things, then we'll have less urgent things. In other words, let's say you're sick, okay? You're sick, you've run yourself to the ground, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, and it took its toll on your body. Now you're coughing, and you've got fever, and your throat's on fire, and you're sick. Now it's urgent for you to go to the doctor and get better, right? But isn't it more important for us to take care of ourselves so that we don't get sick in the first place? Okay? Or maybe we'd say something like, my spouse is completely fed up with me right now. I've been gone all the time. I haven't made time for my spouse, and now she's fed up, and she's leaving. That's urgent. But what's important then would be what? To make sure that before that happened, that you actually schedule times to sit down with your wife or your spouse and have dinner, to have dates, to spend time with your kids. Like, that's what's important. It's important for us to change the oil in our vehicle so that it doesn't break down and then end up in the shop, right? That's urgent. And the more we deal with the urgent, the less time we have for the important. But I would say that if we focus more on the important, if we choose the important, then we'll have less of the urgent. I want us to talk about this choice today and use Luke chapter 10, Luke's gospel here in Luke chapter 10. It's a story that we've used here before, but it's a story of two sisters named Mary and Martha. It sounds kind of like a sitcom, right? Mary and Martha. So here's the story of Mary and Martha. We're going to look at Martha who makes one choice and Mary who makes another choice, and let's see what Jesus says about that in Luke chapter 10. So it says these words in verse 38. And Jesus and his disciples were on their way. He came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. So Martha says, Jesus, we'd love for you to come to our home. And so Jesus is going to go to Martha's home. Martha had a sister named Mary who chooses the important here, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha, who's surrendering more to the urgent, was what? What's the word here? She was distracted. Distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, now imagine this, okay? Imagine this. She came to Jesus and said, Jesus, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all this work by myself? Tell her to help me. Can you imagine saying that to Jesus? Tell her to help me, just completely fed up with it. But here she is, just distracted. And so we're so easily distracted. So I would say I don't want to live there, but I am so easily distracted. I know you don't want to live there, but you too can be so easily distracted. And so Martha invites Jesus into her home. And so you know what she's doing here, right? She's getting the house right. I mean, imagine Jesus coming to your house. Okay, so she's doing what you would do. She's putting things in the closet. She's sliding things under the bed. She's lighting the perfect candle that has the smell that she wants the house to smell like. She's got the potpourri in the little jar in the bathroom that matches the shower curtain. Like she's going all out. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming to her house. And she is, imagine Jesus, the Prince of Peace, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great I Am is going to be coming to your house. Do you think she had pretty much a good right to be panicked at this moment? Here's Jesus coming into town and coming to her home. Maybe she thought when she asked him and invited him to the house that he'd probably say he was too busy. I don't know. But Jesus is like, okay, so he's going over to the house. Man, we find ourselves so easily distracted at times. Jesus knocks on the door. He comes into the house. He sits down and starts teaching. And really, that should have been the moment. At least I hope I would. The moment where I would have said, okay, all the preparations are done. Jesus is here. Let's just enjoy the company now that Jesus is here. But my life and Martha's life is so distracted with things that don't really matter. I'm so distracted. The other day I was looking, okay, I hope that you're with me on this. I was looking for my cell phone while I was talking on my cell phone. Okay, has anybody done this before? Okay, all right. And then just a couple days later, I'm looking for my earbuds, and guess where my earbuds were? In my ears. And then a couple of days after that, I'm carrying all this stuff trying to get out of the house, and I have my keys hanging out of my mouth with my book bag and all my stuff trying to get out of the house, my breakfast and everything. And I'm asking everybody if anybody's seen my keys through my, has anybody seen my keys? And they're like, they're in your mouth, Dad. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I'm so easily distracted. I don't know why I'm telling you these things. I really don't. I guess it's cheaper than therapy. That's what I would say. But I'm kind of admitting these things to you. But man, don't we find ourselves so easily distracted with the things that are going on around us? And that's what's going on with Martha. She's just distracted. She's got all the preparations. Jesus is actually there now, and she's still trying to get things together. And Mary is just sitting at the feet of Jesus as he's there, just enjoying the presence of Jesus there. And Martha's just like, please, like she's completely fed up. Can you imagine her just kind of like walking through and like seeing Mary sitting there and then like doing some things and getting more and more mad, and then walking through again and seeing Mary sitting there, realizing that she's doing all this stuff by herself. And finally she just says to Jesus, "Don't you care that I'm doing this all by myself? Would you please tell my lazy, no good sister to help me?" Okay? Distracted. And so then Jesus kind of turns the mood in the room to this, what he calls this one thing. So he says in verse 41, "Martha, Martha," he answered, "you are worried and upset about many things." How many of you could make that your life verse right now? You know, like, put your name there. Just put your name there. Aaron, you are worried and upset about many things. But, he says, few things are needed, or indeed only what? Only one. Only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. So, I read that, and I kind of start to think about, what does this mean? Like, why did Jesus say these words to Martha? Like, you're worried and upset about many things, and actually there's only a few things that matter. Really, there's only one thing that matters. He kind of takes her on this little journey. There's only one thing that matters. Like, what does this mean? What is Jesus trying to say to her? Is it about busyness? Is it about busyness? Well, I think partly, yeah, it's about busyness, She was busy doing all these things, distracted with all these things. But is that really what this is focusing in on? Is it about busyness? Well, if you read the New Testament, you know that the disciples were busy. Jesus was busy. He had to really fight to get away sometimes, to be alone, He was busy. So is it about busyness? I think part of it is. Is it about priorities? Is that what it is? I think probably yes, it's about priorities as well, but maybe not fully about priorities. I mean, Jesus did say that Mary chose what was better, and so there's definitely a choice there that we can make that a priority in our life to spend time with Jesus. But what is it about? Busyness, priorities, and kind of the more I kind of nailed in on it, I really think it was about this one thing that we have a tendency to miss or to push out of our life because we get so distracted and busy with other things that we miss this one thing. And what's this one thing? It's what Mary was doing. It was the enjoying or spending time with Christ, spending time with Jesus. It's about the presence of Jesus Christ, to not allow our lives to get so distracted by so many things that we forget to focus in on the one thing. The one thing that really matters, and that's spending time with Jesus Christ. And so, yeah, it's busyness, yeah, it's priorities, but man, we don't want to miss this one thing. And what I find out in my life is that a lot of times what happens in my life is that the urgent becomes the one thing. The distractions become the one thing, or it distracts me from the one thing. And I don't want anything that's good. I mean, these are good. You have good distractions in your life, right? Those are good things. They're good things, but you don't want any of the good things to take away from the best thing, do you? The one thing. The one thing. And so I think that's what this is really getting at here for us, is that here's Martha, who, in a way different day than we are today, was distracted and missing the one thing, that Jesus was actually right there, that she could actually spend time with Jesus, but she was distracted with all these other things. And if Jesus would say that to Martha, so long ago, what would he say to us in a different day where we have, text messages coming in every 5 seconds, and we've got, emails coming to our phone constantly, and we've got kids that we're running from here and there to everywhere, and sports schedules and all the things that we're trying to keep up with, and social media and all these things. What would he say to us? Gosh, if she was distracted by many things, we must be distracted by many, 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 many things, right? But we don't want to miss that one thing. We don't want to be so distracted by the good things that we miss the most important thing. That's presence, the presence of Jesus Christ and time with him. And so we have to intentionally choose the important over the urgent. So it says, Martha, Martha, Jesus answered, you're worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has, what's the word there? She has chosen what is better. And so we have to intentionally choose the important over the urgent. We have to choose the one thing. We have to choose the one thing, or we really make a choice to miss the one thing as well. Martha chose to miss the one thing. Mary chose to not miss the one thing. And so how do we do that? How do we do that? So here's the question I want to ask all of you. What is, and write it down, it's on you can put it on your worship guide, you can go on your app and look at it, Crossroads app and look at it. What is the one thing? I mean, here's the question. The most important thing you've been distracted from pursuing. What is it? Let it kind of sink in. What is you've been distracted by so many things. What is the one thing that you've been distracted from pursuing because there's just so many other things going on? Maybe it really is like spending time with the Lord. Maybe it's spending time with him in the morning, reading the Bible for a few moments, praying. Maybe you're missing that. Or maybe it's you've been too busy to spend time with your family, your kids, your wife. Like, what is that? Or maybe it's something altogether different. But what is that thing that you've been so distracted from that you've not actually been pursuing it? And then what do you do? Okay, so what do you do? So there's the why, here's the how. Just a few minutes of the how. What do we do? Here's some things that I've done in my life, just practical things. I always want to try to make this practical for you so that you don't just get this message and then, it inspires you, but there's no change in your life. So what's the practical things that we can do? Well, for me, one of the things that I do to make sure I don't miss the one thing or pursue the important things is for me to create artificial deadlines. And so you might be saying, well, what does that mean? Write this down. It's really deep. Write this down. It's so deep. So what is an artificial deadline? An artificial deadline is an artificial deadline, okay? It's all it is. It's just a fake deadline. And so here's an example for me. You have to set these deadlines of these important things, or your life will be just overrun with urgent things. So one of the important things in my life is this time right now. Okay, this message that I preach on Sunday mornings. It's very important for me to make sure that I'm prepared and to do it well, to do it right, to give God the glory and honor for it. And so, when is that actually due? When is the message actually due? Well, it's Sunday morning at 9:25 a.m. or so, about midway through our first service. That's when it's due, okay? But in my mind, my artificial deadline is Thursday at noon, okay? I don't always hit it, but my goal is to be done with my prep on Thursday at noon. It's an artificial deadline. Really, I have a few more days, but why would I wait until the last minute to do something so important? Why wouldn't I set something so important up so that I know that I'm going to get it done and get it done well? And so I set this time to do it. And one of the reasons why I do it is because that's important to me, but also there are other things in my life that are important as well, like my wife, my kids, and Friday is the day that I get to be off. That's my day. And if I'm like cramming to get this message done on Friday, then I've missed something else important altogether as well. And that's that my wife is home with me and we're by ourselves all day Friday while the kids are in school. That's pretty important, isn't it? Keeps us healthy, keeps our marriage healthy, and so this is important to me, and so I set this deadline, and then that allows me to do another thing that's important to me, and that's spending time with my wife and my kids. You've done this before. You go out of town. Let's say you're going out of town on Wednesday, and you've got a whole week's worth of work to do, but you're leaving on Wednesday, and you want to enjoy the time away, so what do? You do 5 days worth of work in 2 days, and you do it, don't you? you do it because you set an artificial deadline. And so if we set artificial deadlines, then we can continue to choose what's important over what's urgent, because then we're not just bombarded with all the urgent things that we have to do. So set those artificial deadlines. Number 2, be ruthlessly selective in your yeses. I mean, if I could plead with you and beg with you to be ruthlessly selective in your yeses. In fact, I would argue that for most people today, the barrier to a meaningful life is not that we've not committed enough, it's that we've overcommitted. In fact, I would say probably the best thing that some of us can do in the room is to actually not to make a to-do list, but to make a to-don't list. Okay, to start looking at things that you can actually weed out, because you want to do the important things. You want to do those really important things. And so sometimes you have to say no to some good things because you want to do the best things, the great things. And so to really think about when you're about to say yes, that when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something as well. And so when you say yes, like at our church, we want to make sure that we want to be a church where our yeses mean yes and our no's mean no, okay? So if you hang around here long enough and you can breathe, somebody's going to ask you to do something, okay? And I would say for you to truly consider, like, is this what I'm passionate about? Is this what I love doing? Is this where I can make a difference? And if that's the case, then yes means yes. Like, jump in. But don't say yes because you say yes to everything and then not show up, not come prepared. Make sure that your yes is your yes. And at Crossroads, you know what? We love it when people say yes. But we also love it when people say no. We don't want you to say yes and really mean no. You know what I'm saying? So look at your yeses and make sure that you're saying yeses to things that really matter the most, okay? And then lastly, we want to do first what matters most. We want to do first what matters most. So if you go back to that text, and Luke's talking there about Mary and Martha, I think if we want to kind of grab a hold of the purest interpretation of this, is that what matters most, when he says that Mary has chosen what is better, what matters most here is time at the Master's feet. It's time at the feet of Jesus, that matters most. And what I would say to all of you, if I can just if you don't get anything else but get this, do first what matters most. And if we take the purest interpretation of this text, what matters most is spending time with Jesus Christ. That matters most. And you say, well, how do you do that? Well, here's how I do it. I have on my phone the YouVersion app, and you can pick any plan that you want. I think any person who follows Jesus Christ and has a cell phone should have the YouVersion app on their phone, because you can pick any plan that you want to pick, and you can just start spending time with the Lord. Just start in the morning. Just start reading a little bit. Don't, unless you can do it, don't pick a plan that you can do, all right? Don't pick a plan where you're going to try to read the Bible in 30 days, okay? Because you know you're going to get behind, and then you're going to get discouraged, and then you're going to quit, okay? Pick something that you can do. Like, there's plans that say, hey, I'm going to read the book of Luke in 30 days. I can do that. I can read the book of Luke. I can read the book of Matthew. I can read the book of 1 Corinthians. I can do that, okay? So pick something that you can do and then do it. You can find the YouVersion app going through our Crossroads app by going to the helps, the tools section of our app, or it's just going to lead you to YouVersion app. So just go to the YouVersion app and pick out a plan and start doing it. I think that's what this is about, that you want to do first what matters most. That in Matthew 6:33, it says, Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to that, okay? Seek first. Do first what matters most. And so in the morning, you realign your day. I'm not being legalistic here with you. I'm not saying do this because your pastor's telling you to do this. I'm saying this is what works in my life, and I think that's what this text is talking about, to do the things that are really important to us, to not miss that one thing. And so I get up in the morning, and I just read off my YouVersion app, and then I just pray. I say, God, Simple. Use me today. Use my hands, use my feet, use my mouth, use my tongue, use my body to do whatever you want me to do today. I'm yours. And it's just this kind of realigning at the beginning of the day to say, I'm yours. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of energy. You just get up. Some of you have to get up a little earlier. That's all right. Get up, pick a plan, and start doing it. Do first what matters most so that you don't get hung up on all the urgent. Because I'm telling you, in my life, once I walk out the door, I'm done. There's not going to be another second or another minute for me to sit down and start looking at my YouVersion app. I'm gone. And there's a million other things to do, okay? And so that's my challenge to you. It says Martha here is distracted by so many things. It's just human nature, guys. We're going to be distracted by so many things. It's just who we are. But Mary intentionally chose what was most important. And so I challenge you this year in 2018 to choose the important over the urgent. If you don't schedule the important, your life will be overrun by the urgent. So here it is in practical steps. It's the bottom of your app or maybe your worship guide as well. It says if you had 2 extra hours every day, what would you do more of? Why do you think that we're tempted to allow the urgent things to rule our lives? What is that important thing that you've been so distracted from pursuing? And what do you need to stop pursuing right now in order for that to happen? And then just pick a Bible reading plan. Use the YouVersion app, use the Crossroads app, and just start doing it because we want to do what matters most first. All right? You guys with me? All right, let's pray together as the worship team comes. God, thank you for your incredible love for us. And God, thank you that just so simple and the very easy way that you shared these words with Mary and Martha that day, in a day that human nature didn't change. It is our nature to be distracted with the urgent and to be distracted and worried about so many things, God. But yet we, as a church, as people, we want to choose what's most important. And God, we don't want to miss that one thing that Mary got right. We don't want to miss that. And so God, help us this year as we go into 2018 here, God, to make this decision to choose what's most important. And to put on our calendars and on our schedules the things that are most important so that we're not completely distracted and overrun by all the urgent things that are going to hit us in the face. And God, so we choose that today. And we thank you that we can know that when we put aside this time to focus on the one thing, God, that you'll meet us there and that you'll be there. And we thank you for that. And it's in your name that we pray. Amen. Amen.